I'm Anthony Rosus, 49 years old, and for a decade, I've been a ghost in my daughter's world, as if my existence was erased from her memory. My name seemed to vanish from her heart, weightless and forgotten. Yet not long ago, she reappeared, her once perfect life now in tatters, seeking aid from the father she had long cast aside. Let me take you back to where it all began. At 36, my ex-wife, Vanessa, blindsided me with divorce papers. Our daughter, Kayla, was just 9. Vanessa didn't simply leave. She pursued full custody, portraying me as unstable and requiring supervised visits. Despite my clean history, years spent coaching Kayla's soccer team, and no trace of erratic behavior, the court accepted her claims as truth. I poured my soul into remaining part of Kayla's life, spending $11,000 on legal fees, and taking unnecessary anger management classes to demonstrate my devotion. It was futile. Every court session brought fresh fabrications from Vanessa, stories of public outbursts that never happened. The judge never questioned her. Kayla began to drift from me. Some days, she'd hold me tightly, asking when she could spend the night. Other times, she'd shrink from my embrace, her eyes filled with fear. It was evident Vanessa was poisoning her against me. By the time Kayla turned 11, Vanessa had remarried. Her new husband, Craig Dalton, was a charismatic CEO with wealth and charm I couldn't rival. He effortlessly stepped into the role of father, complete with a sprawling mansion and extravagant vacations. Kayla adapted quickly. Our bond faded. Phone calls ended, visits stopped. I once made a charm bracelet engraved with our initials, A and K, and drove to their home on Christmas Eve to give it to her. Vanessa opened the door, already recording, accusing me of violating court orders and calling it harassment. 2 days later, a restraining order arrived. That was my final attempt to see Kayla face to face. Eventually, Vanessa changed Kayla's last name to Dalton. I found out through a friend's screenshot of a social media post. Kayla at a charity event, wearing a Dalton roofing shirt, calling Craig her proud father. That night, I sat alone at my kitchen table, tears falling quietly. My daughter was lost to me, not in body, but in every way that mattered. Time passed. I settled in a small town 3 hours away, working as an electrician, fixing old machinery, living a solitary life with rough hands and a steadfast heart. No family, no partner, just a quiet existence. Then 2 weeks ago, a text arrived. Can we talk? No name attached. I ignored it. The next day another. It's Kayla. My heart tightened. After 10 years of silence, there she was. I didn't respond. My coworker Harold noticed me staring at my phone and asked what was wrong. I told him everything. He didn't hesitate. She wants something. Bet on it. He was right. The third message revealed the truth. Vanessa had died of pancreatic cancer, and Craig had taken his own life a week later. Now Kayla, grown and alone, her once flawless world shattered, was reaching out, not out of love or remorse, but need. She required help with the funeral, the estate, and the legal chaos left behind. After years of treating me as a stranger, after allowing another man to replace me at her wedding, after stripping me of fatherhood, she sought my support. I was conflicted, unsure of my emotions. Then my brother Leo showed up at my door, holding muffins, as if determined to heal my spirit. She's your daughter, he urged. She's lost everything. You can't pretend she doesn't exist. I shot back. She's pretended I don't exist for 8 years. But Leo wouldn't back down. He revealed the full story. Kayla had concealed Vanessa's cancer from the entire family. No one, not her aunts, cousins, or even her mother, got a chance to say goodbye. While Vanessa was dying, Kayla secretly sold her grandmother's beloved home and kept the proceeds. That betrayal led Vanessa's family to disown her. But there was more. Craig's adult children, whom Kayla had pushed aside, were now suing her. They accused her of manipulating their grieving father into changing his will and insurance beneficiaries after Vanessa's death. They claimed Craig, devastated by loss, was vulnerable, and Kayla took advantage. They even suggested he had started to remove her from his will, but died before completing it. Now Kayla faced a brutal lawsuit, with no one left but me, the father she had erased. Leo pressed me to call her. She was just a kid, he said. But she wasn't a child when she sold that house behind her dying mother's back. She wasn't a child when she isolated Craig's family. At 20, she knew precisely what she was doing. The next day, a voicemail arrived. "Fine," Kayla said, her tone sharp with bitterness. "Be the guy who's never there, like always. I'll tell everyone you abandoned me when I needed you most." It wasn't a request. It was a threat, mirroring her mother's tactics, twisting the narrative to cast me as the villain. That was enough. I blocked her number. If she needed help, she could hire a lawyer, just as Vanessa always did. But the ordeal didn't end. A week later, a subpoena arrived in my mailbox. Craig's children were pursuing their lawsuit, and I was called as a witness. The father Kayla had ignored for years. In court, I wasn't there as a grieving father or a loyal supporter. I was done being manipulated. Craig's son Jason had asked me to testify. His lawyer got to the point. "Are you Kayla Dalton's biological father?" "Yes," I answered, my voice firm. "Though you wouldn't know it from her actions over the past decade." The courtroom fell silent. I recounted everything: the restraining order, the ignored visits, her adoption of Craig's last name, learning of her wedding through a stranger's social media post. Then I shared the deepest wound. She hadn't invited me to her wedding. Her stepfather walked her down the aisle. She'd called me a threat. Yet now she wanted my testimony to defend her character in a battle over insurance and estate rights. The judge's eyebrow rose. Jason's lawyer pressed further. "Do you believe Kayla manipulated Craig Dalton in his final months?" Without hesitation, I said, "I think Kayla learned well from her mother. How to use people and discard them when they're no longer useful." Kayla, dressed in a navy suit beside her lawyer, looked diminished, not in stature but in spirit. Her actions had caught up with her. She didn't speak, didn't cry, didn't defend herself. After a break, I stepped outside for fresh air. Jason followed. "My dad mentioned you sometimes," he said. "He felt guilty for taking your place. He wanted to reach out, but Vanessa wouldn't allow it." I didn't know how to respond. He went on. "You're the only one who's been honest in this mess. If you ever need work, my contracting firm could use an electrician." His words struck deeper than any of Kayla's venom. Respect from the son of the man Kayla allegedly deceived. It meant something. That night, a folded letter appeared under my door, my name written in Kayla's handwriting. "Dad, if you can still call yourself that," it began. "Thanks for proving what I always believed, that you disappear when things get tough. I came to you at my lowest, and you humiliated me in court. You've ruined any chance we had. The truth? Craig despised you. He said men like you never change. He was right. Goodbye." I read it over and over, then burned it in the sink, watching it turn to ash. No more guilt, no more wondering if I could have done more. 3 weeks later, a private investigator named Denise called. She worked for one of Craig's former partners, who suspected Kayla had forged documents before Craig's death. Denise asked if I had any of Kayla's emails or letters. I mentioned the note, but it was gone. It didn't matter. They had a copy of Craig's final will, and the signature didn't match his handwriting. A forensic analyst had flagged it. This wasn't just a civil suit anymore. It was potentially criminal: fraud, forgery, financial manipulation. If proven, Kayla could face prison. When I told Leo, he went quiet, then murmured, "I didn't realize it was this serious. She's not a kid anymore." I replied, "She's an adult, facing real consequences." Soon after, Kayla's lawyer contacted me, asking if I'd write a letter supporting her character to help settle the case quietly and preserve her reputation. I laughed. "Tell her to ask the man who walked her down the aisle," I said, and hung up. Let her rebuild her life the hard way, as I had. Let her forge her own reputation without tarnishing mine. For the first time, I wasn't the one being replaced or vilified. I was simply free, and that freedom felt better than any apology she could have offered.